Hey guys, this is Marc Owings, and I'm your host for the Unbridled Life Podcast, where we have real, raw, and unreligious conversation to encourage and challenge men and women in their daily lives. Well, welcome to the Unbridled Life. I have my fun disco ball back with me, Shawna Wortham.
This is my first time to be on video. Hello to the listeners.
So y'all get to see her. Little bundle of joy and excitement and energy.
Oh, I am. I love being here with you, and this is so much fun to me, just talking with you, and it's a dream fulfilled.
Come on. I love it. Well, what's funny is you, your mom, and your brother, going back to episode 1, 2, and 3.
The OGs.
It was incredible. So you've been a part of this from the beginning and going to continue through this. And Shawna led with some other women, which was incredible. We've had some really cool, inspiring, and then heart-stopping thinking through guests. I think about Todd Stevenson and what he talked about loneliness versus being alone. And what God showed him, and that just drew him back. God is the God of all comfort, and he wants to comfort you. That episode alone impacted Leslie in such a meaningful way that she got to apply that, and she grew because of Todd's willingness. And now, Dudley Hall coming on and talking about mercy and justice, how justice is aimed at Jesus and the devil.
Yes.
Meaning, Jesus paid for it all. We never get justice.
Right.
We get mercy. So
Every time.
And Dudley did such a fantastic job. Just listening to a 76-year-old, I called him mature whiskey, just a good sip of the Word of God. And he just did such a fantastic job. Can't wait to have him back. But it's fun to have you on. And we're talking about visions, we're talking about dreams, and we're talking about purpose today.
And before we do, I just want to tell you how proud I am, because you don't shy away from anything, any topic. And I think that that's what's setting this podcast apart, is that you're not shying back from any topic. So the listeners can just get a plethora, a feast, if you will. But yes, today's one of my favorite topics.
It is.
I think it's my life message is dreams.
I think she's been one of the greatest encouragers and gifts for Leslie and I, because God brought her to help propel our visions.
Well, and we've never told, we have a very unique relationship, but it started with a dream, with prophetic, all that good stuff. But Marc and I, he's apprenticing me. I'm going to tell him a real quick story, how it started. I kind of was at a crossroads in my life where I knew I needed to take a step. I'd actually been in a season of just dreaming big, huge dreams. And I was reading all kind of books it was a real season of learning for me. But I finally was like, okay, listen, this dreaming is amazing. I got to take a step, which we were kind of talking about before, right? So I was like, I got to take a step, because I do have the vision, and I'll share that, the big vision that God gave me 20 years ago. But I was at a crossroads, knew I was either going to go to a spiritual leadership school at my church, or you were going to apprentice me. And I showed up to your office one day.
And the Lord said that to you.
The Lord gave me a dream. And when we sat down in your office, and we were literally kind of like at a desk like this, I was reminded, I said, this is the dream. But yes, the Lord said, you're either going to the school or someone's going to apprentice you. And I showed up that day, and it was so amazing, and which we both needed the confirmation. Absolutely. Because we were friends, but we didn't want to push something in the flesh. We didn't want an Ishmael.
We did not.
Hello.
No, thank you.
And so we went on this journey of like, okay, I need you to apprentice me. What does that even mean? Well, it's so much like parenting. Really, you've fathered me. And a lot of it is I've just caught a lot more than even what you've taught me. I got a picture of how they used to do. I'm sure they still do this in some skills, but you just come alongside. I've just come alongside you and watched you minister to hearts and watched you do things in ministry. There's been correction, a lot of correction you've brought into my life. Yes. But anyway, we're in the middle, I believe, of a dream. And the Lord told me years ago to promote others. And this is part of, I want to promote you into your destiny and into the big dreams God has for you. And let me read 1 Peter. When I do that, the Lord comes behind me and he'll do that for me. 1 Peter 5:6-7 says, be content with who you are. Don't put on airs. God's strong hand is on you. He'll promote you at the right time. Live carefree before God. He is most careful with you. God has big dreams for each of us.
And I love that because our ministry was called, whether it's Fully Alive, Fully Connected, the Unbridled Life Podcast, whatever we do, promote, encourage, and connect.
Yes.
And God showed me a long time ago just kind of a vision in my mind, in my heart. And I was connecting these power cords, but I was standing with these power cords trying to get power out of them.
Okay.
He said, son, it doesn't work like that. I've called you to plug in so others can walk in power. Your power will be me.
Wow.
So promotion does come when we promote. And I think if you're going to be a kingdom builder, one of the things that you're going to have to learn is you're going to have to learn how to celebrate promoting someone else.
Absolutely.
Even when they don't deserve it, even when they don't act right, even all the different things that would disqualify.
Yeah.
I think that's been the great thing. And I have to say that I'm glad I said yes to this because there's so much that I've learned watching you and Kyle. We have a great relationship. We spend time with them, but they catch a dream and they get a vision from the Lord. They start dreaming about it. Then they put goals to it and you start walking them.
Yes.
And that's been good for us to be apprenticed in because it's not a strong part of who I am.
Yeah.
So kicking this off, I just wanted to say part of a story for me is I wanted to be vulnerable and transparent. When I started the ministry in 2006, I was scared spitless.
Yeah.
You know, I'm leaving James Robinson's ministry. I'm loved there. It's a great position. I could grow. But God told me out of Exodus chapter 3, go and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. I've shared that before. I didn't know what that meant, And when I told James, he said, son, that's not a vision. And I was like, and that's my spiritual father. And I've said this before, I would not leave until he blessed me. And he did bless me and he does support me. So I always want to shout out there for James Robinson Life Today. But in this, when I started, it was the scariest thing that I'd ever done. I mean, I'm the breadwinner of the family, which is kind of laughable. I wasn't making very much money already in the ministry. But I had to step out and walk that. As I've walked this, he gave me Fully Alive, which I really didn't want to do. And then Fully Connected, I was more open to, but I didn't know the how-tos.
Yes.
But when he got to this part of the dream, he began to talk to me about land. And I was looking at land, thinking about a retreat center. And because there's so much in my heart, I want businessmen. I want it all.
Yes.
I want to minister to women, men.
That's right.
Pastors. But I realized as we were preparing for this, I've been writing a little bit on dream, and Shawna and I may be writing a book talking about dreams, visions, and purpose.
Yeah.
But one of the things I realized is I had 3 basic dreams.
Yes.
When I came into walking with Jesus. Number 1, I did not dream in a healthy way before I knew Jesus. All I dreamed about was fulfilling my flesh.
That's right.
Whether that was girls, drugs, drinking, whatever. That was my dream. And my dream did not go past 21 years of age. So mind-boggling to me, I meet Jesus, or he comes and gets me.
Yeah.
But I receive him, I start walking with him, and I immediately start dreaming.
Come on.
And I didn't know, I want a woman. I want blonde hair, blue eyes. I was dating this one girl.
Dare you say you were manifesting your wife?
Absolutely.
We're taking the word back, aren't we?
Absolutely. Oprah's not going to own that
No,
one,
the
and
world
she'll
has
say that.
hijacked the words, and we're not going to, we're taking it back today. This is a beautiful, so I just got goosebumps. That's how I feel the Lord. You were manifesting in your mind's eye. We discussed the word, the dictionary word is to get the clear mind's eye of what you want. Okay. And so before you even knew Leslie, what were you picturing?
I was picturing blonde hair, blue eyes, gentle waters, kindness, goodness. But I knew I didn't deserve any of them. There was the problem that I was just like, God, man, I've been a tomcat out here and I'm asking for this. But So number one is I wanted somebody who was passionate and committed. Leslie's quiet, but it is power under control. You are not going to move. My wife, she's never going to go with the crowd. She's always going to go with Jesus. That's what I wanted. So step number one, I wanted to get married.
Yeah.
Well, that came to pass, and I just couldn't believe it. The whole time I'm like, down to our wedding, I literally, when the doors opened, I thought, I hope she doesn't run out.
Oh, Marc.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I knew I didn't deserve her.
Yeah.
And some of you need to hear this. You don't deserve the spouse you got. You can complain all you want about them. You don't deserve anything but hell, and God gave us mercy.
Yes.
The next dream I had in my heart is that I wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
But I knew this. I didn't want to have what my dad offered. I love my dad. He did a lot right, but what he didn't do was the main thing. He did not have the connection with Jesus.
Good.
He never became a child, a child of God, so he could never give away to his children the inheritance right. Instead, verbal, physical, emotional abuse. I don't hold my dad. I've forgiven all that stuff. It doesn't matter. I've had my share of all of those probably.
Yeah.
Not physical. But I was afraid. I said, this is how my dad treated me. I'm scared that if I have kids that I'm physically going to harm them and get pissed off and do something. Because I had a temper.
Yeah.
And it was my father-in-law, Ralph Roden, one time in a car that he looked at me and he said, Marc, that's not the kind of dad you're going to be. You're going to be loving. Well, I have my kids, one's 26, one's 21. Now I've got a daughter-in-law, and now I've got my little baby Lakely. I'm Bear, she's Honey, Honey Bear.
Honey Bear.
Coolest name ever,
thing ever.
right? But here's the deal. That dream started to manifest based upon the Spirit of God. But there was a walking out process. And the third thing, I wanted to be a man that served God in my generation. It was loyal. And I did not want to have an affair. That's not beating up on any of the Owings side of the family, but I could see the generational curse that had walked through there.
Right.
And we all walked through it, but I didn't want to have a physical affair with somebody, and I was scared. God fulfilled all those dreams. Shawna, here's what hit me the other day. I have been so wowed by what God did over the last 31 years of marriage and children and grandchildren. I stopped dreaming.
Come on,
I
say
stopped
it again.
hoping. I stopped believing.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know how to get a dream. So when God spoke this dream to me, and really I'm looking at land, I'm like, God, what do you think about this land? He spun it on me and said, the question isn't what I think, what do you think? And I picked my head up thinking, God, this isn't right. I do what you tell me to do. So he said to me, Marc, what do you want? That has set me on years' journey of from fear to frustration to saying to God, you're crazy.
Yes.
You picked the wrong guy.
Totally.
So I'm only setting the story today. I want to be vulnerable with you. I have a dream. It's going to happen. But I'm having to walk through some of this. And when we talk through it, I want to give away what I do have.
Yes.
Because there are some dreams that have come true that are incredible. This podcast is one of them.
For sure.
Didn't know what I was doing, still don't. It's not about you knowing what to do. It's about God doing it through you.
100%.
And so that's it. So tell us about Oprah, because I want to have a little bit.
You say so many good things. I had to write some notes just right in the middle because, well, let me just say this. You said something very key. Your dad, what you were saying was he never became, or he became a child of God at the end of his life. But here's what I caught.
Never got to walk.
Here's the point. Children dream. They're the best dreamers. I have goosebumps again. In becoming adults, so many of us, and I believe through even traumatic experiences as our children, we shut down our dreamers. We shut them off. They get turned off. They get shut down, whatever. It's learning to be like a child because it takes some freedom.
Yes.
When you're dreaming, I want to just say this really quick. There's a difference when you dream. You can't allow your brain to go, well, how's this going to work? Or what, some of us are more practical than others. I never worry about that. I'm like, I don't know. Kyle
figure it out.
Do you know in the past couple of years, because we are living in some of the biggest dreams, the most ridiculous, now I say to him, I'll sign off on our text or whatever. I said, you make all my dreams come true. Because he does. Like, the Lord has used Kyle Wortham I am the dreamer. He dreams too. Kyle's kind of like a ninja dreamer. He'll say one line where I've got a million dreams. His one, and it'll be huge and big, and it'll be bam, and it'll come to fruition like within the year. I'm like, wow, you're amazing. But be like a child. Just dream. And then there are practical steps. You did have to take a step. You could have sat around and talked about podcasts for 5 years, but you finally just got out of the boat and said, I'm going to order the microphone. You know, I'm going to get a guest on. I mean, so it's all of that. But we were talking about this, and I do challenge you to dream, because I think it's so good. You know, it's a muscle. We have to exercise it. But it must have been on Instagram. I just saw a little blip, and Oprah said, I am a master manifester. And then she kind of went into, she said, I used to do dream boards. I don't even have to do those anymore, because all I do is just kind of align my frequency, and it comes to me.
She's still in our words.
You know what? It's all Genesis 1:1.
Come on.
I did a journey on this. When I went on a healing journey, I was kind of tiptoeing into some very unconventional medical things. And listen, I am a word girl at heart. I'm very salty and all the things, but I'm like, listen, if it's not in the word, you know what I mean? Like, I'm grateful for my roots of the Baptist church. But Genesis 1:1, what did he do? He spoke. Light. Energy is all the Lord's. It's all his. And we create with our words. What is the Proverbs 4:23, the essence of this ministry?
Above all else, guard your heart, for out of the heart flows the wellspring of life.
Yes, you guys, it's so much, it's science, it's neuroscience, it's all the things. And so what Oprah was saying, although it could have sounded
New agey,
very new agey, and she's just picked up on a kingdom principle. And you said it so well. It rains,
it rains on the just and the unjust. It rains on the rich and the poor. And listen, having money doesn't mean that God blessed you.
Yes.
We need to. Bill Gates is out there. I don't think God blessed Bill Gates.
He just grabbed hold of sowing and reaping, and there's laws out there, the law of gravity. Listen, on the righteous and the unrighteous. So in 2020, I'm glad you brought him up, because I'm going to just go on and say
Not
this.
a fan.
Okay, well, in 2020, when I was in the middle of all this, like learning how to dream and writing it down, Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision, make it plain, that the herald may run with it.
Come on.
I could spend hours just on talking on that point. We have to get crystal clear of what we even want. But in 2020, when things were beginning to be, the curtain was being pulled back, and we were hearing about all these global elitists and what's going on with and we hear Bill Gates' name and,
right.
Some of these billionaires. And I started to feel so small and so like, oh, woe is me. And then all of a sudden something rose up in me, and I thought, my God, my Abba owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. My dad, you know what I wake up every day and now I declare? My father is the wealthiest, most powerful, most influential, most loving king the world has ever known or will ever know. And I am my father's daughter. And I thought, and I started declaring,
owning it.
We are kingdom philanthropists. Kyle Wortham and I are kingdom philanthropists. I'd never heard anyone say that before, so it was fresh manna to me. But I say that over us every single day. May the Wortham name never be made famous, but we will make King Jesus famous, and we will sow financially. I don't even want to put a limit on what I want to sow into the kingdom, but I just wanted to take nothing on the celebrities. This is not to dog them. This is to prove a point that this is all the Lord's. The earth is the Lord's and all that is in it. And something righteous in me began to rise up and go, wait a minute. Does that make sense?
100%, because we can all react to the manifested. My dad was a crystal worshiping, playing he was a Buddhist one day into Zen. I mean, we grew up in psychology books and all that, but Dad played with that. There are powers that exist.
Yeah.
They're real, except you have to jump the fence to get them, because anytime you get power without Jesus, you have jumped the fence.
There you go.
And I don't want to jump the fence. I want to be hand in hand with Jesus. Everything points to Jesus, Jesus, Jesus.
Yes.
And so that's one of my things that, I'd love to love on Oprah Winfrey as I would any person. But when she says God, what God? She moves around and it shifts and changes. No, I want to give glory to God, but not in some weird, wacky religious way. But everything I own and live in and wear came at the hands. Listen, when I came to Christ, I think I had 5 pairs of breeches and 3 or 4 shirts. I've always said 5 and 5. That's not true. I didn't have very many. But God, my closet's full.
Yeah.
He gave those. He fulfilled on his promise, not some name it, claim it thing. But I wanted a vehicle that would start.
Yeah.
And he shot me. He taught me, hey, Marc, you steward your money, you give your money, and you trust me, and you live within your means. And I would buy a car and move up.
Wisdom.
I had wisdom connected to it. And Leslie taught me, we're going to live in debt. We don't have debt. We own the house, but we own our cars, which is a depreciating item. Maybe I need to shift that and get more wisdom on that. But the point of it is, I look at all these people like Bill Gates, and I'd love to talk to Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Soros. I don't think what they're doing is the kingdom.
Right.
Because it doesn't have people. Listen, if we cut each other open, we bleed red.
Yeah.
You cut God open, he bleeds people. God the Father loves his children.
Yes.
He loves us, and he's a giver. God so loved the world that he gave Jesus his son. Jesus so loved what the Father was doing that he gave his entire life, but he didn't just give us that. He gave us the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit loves us so much and loves Jesus and loves the Father, and they give us all these spiritual gifts, and we're still bickering and complaining about how this works and looks. And the truth is, listen, the kingdom of God is about giving and receiving. Hear me when I say this to you, receiving. I was just on a plane coming back from somewhere, and the Lord, all the way there, he said, Marc, I want you to receive. I want to receive. All I could talk to him, Shawna, did I miss the dream? Have I screwed it up? Did I wait too long? Because it's been 5 years.
About the lands?
Yeah, about the land, about the retreat center. And I just got to keep declaring. I'm closer now than I've ever been, and I can't really don't have the words or the language of what shifted when I was in the air, coming and going. But I literally went, hey, I'm going to offer people not just a encounter with Jesus. I want an experience that brings value to the individual, a man, a woman, businessman, and all that. So God's giving the practical and tactical, but I want to dive off a little bit because I want you to run in this. You said, make the vision plain, write it down, so that someone can herald with it. So here's the deal. Vision is really an interesting thing because Bill Gates has vision.
Yeah.
Right?
Without vision, the word says hope deferred makes the heart sick. If we don't have something to look forward to hope in, it can make you very, very sick. So maybe people need to hear that today. Maybe that's a word for someone today is maybe you're so heart sick because you're like me, you quit dreaming. Yes.
You're just existing. You're alive, but you're not living. And so to live, God wants dreams. Psalms 34:4, God gives us the desire of our heart. Here's what I can't really figure out yet. Is it your desire or did God plant it there and you're just finding that like Easter egg hunt?
You know what? It doesn't, here's where I am with that. Don't get so hung up on is it my desire? Is it his desire? Just give it all to him. Like say it, write it down, give it all to him, put it on the altar, and he'll give you back what is in his heart for you. And if it's not in his heart for you, I don't want it because it will bring work. It will bring a heavy yoke. There are things that I have submitted to him and he said, no, I'm so okay with, but I dream about everything. I was even thinking, because we were talking about this, these glasses are a dream come true. I put these on my little Pinterest board. I knew I wanted some fancy black glasses years ago, and I started dreaming for them. I didn't run out and go get them. I waited, I dreamt for them, and then look, here they are. So God is so sweet in the small and the huge, the big. Sorry, I took it off, but
no,
keep
I love
going.
it. So when I
Right, the
think about
vision.
this, so people talk about vision. People have visions all the time.
Yes.
Amazon is a vision, and someone pulled that off. And
Everything
listen,
created.
hey,
Right.
congratulations! I use it all the time. But here's the deal: vision cannot just be a marketing plan. And listen up, pastors, preachers, businessmen, women, businesswomen, whoever you are. I don't want just a good vision with a marketing plan so I can go execute and make money. I've never been impressed with money. I want to have money, but money's not going to have me because I've decided in my heart I don't want to get something before I have the character to handle. So God needs to handle out the cup a little bit. We were talking about Joseph.
Yep.
Joseph gets the dream, but he goes into the pit. He goes into prison. That's man trying to do that, but all God's doing is hewing the cup so he has the character to be number 2 in the nation and not look in the mirror and think I'm all that in a bag of chips and forget that there was a purpose and destiny to actually bring Israel there, and Israel would be there so long that they'd held captive. That was all God's divine plan. So it wasn't just fulfilling the dream of Joseph, it was fulfilling a dream of a nation.
Come on.
And fulfilling a dream where God would wait 400 years before he heard their cry, just like he told Abraham that he would. So I want a divine vision. Vision isn't a great marketing plan, a great website, a great design, a great slogan. There's a lot of great salesmen out there that are selling a lot of different visions and building a lot of things, but to me, they're meaningless.
Yes.
Vision without Jesus is meaningless.
Come on.
So vision, for me, I want vision to mean this. This is how I receive it. I want to see what God sees. Yeah. So I brought these binoculars. So I'm not a tech guy. I think they're 40X. So when I look in my plain eye, and if I took Shawna and Leslie and Kyle, and I love the woods, I can't say that I love to hunt anymore, but I'm learning just to be out there and enjoy. I used to love hunting, but I love being out in the woods, and I do love elk hunting, by the way. If you got a big elk for me to come kill, I'll come kill it.
By the way.
I love that. I love eating them. I love everything about it. But it's a pursuit. Well, when you look through these and you're looking for an elk and you're looking over 10,000 acres, over valleys and hills, what your eye says is there's nothing out there. But you get on top of a high place.
Whoa, that'll preach.
Come on. You got to get in a high place to get a vision. And a high place doesn't mean you have to get physically on a high place. Mm-hmm. The high place is when you connect with Jesus. But when I look through these and I begin to, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got movement here. Oh my gosh, it's got horns. There he is. Well, then if I took you and said, Shawna, you would be having a hard time.
Right.
And we just keep adjusting. And then you would see, and you're like, that is so crazy. That's miles away, but we can see that. But when we take the binocular down, we can't see it anymore. So God is the vision. God is the magnifier, and he shows you something. He showed me something in my heart, like I want land. I've always wanted land as a kid. I don't think I've ever said it. I listened to Chad Lacefield. I just kept my head down and went, I'm not going to say that. I always wanted 1,000 acres. Why? I don't need 1,000 acres. That's what I got hung up on. Here's the deal. God hasn't given me a vision of 1,000 acres, but there's a dream in my heart to own land and provide and set a table different than what we're setting the table for now. So a lot of people say, God hasn't spoken to me. Listen, if you'll get with him, he will activate. Here's a word you need to learn. He'll activate. But you need to get people around you that are activators.
Come on.
And people that's what my call in life, my prophetic call of hope and evangelism and pastoring people and bringing correction is to awaken them, activate them, cause them to get hungry. So when we talk about vision, how do you see that? As we just talk through, tell me a vision that you had.
Well, as soon as you started talking with the binoculars and the whole thing, I had a vision 20 years ago. I didn't even know visions existed. I didn't. I mean, I was in a good old Baptist church, and we just didn't talk like that. You know what I mean? And I had a vision. I was in my prayer closet. Here, I'll just tell y'all this little side story. You're right. I was like I mean, and I've always loved the presence of the Lord, but this was a season, my girls were little, and I needed a housekeeper so bad, Marc. I am not domestication. Bless my heart. And let me tell you, it is not on my vision board. I needed a helper. But anyway, I was praying in this season. I was like, Lord, please just send me. And guess what? Now I have a helper. I'm so grateful for my housekeeper because anyway. But out of the blue, I'm praying about other things. And all of a sudden, I get in my mind's eye a vision. It's me. I'm in a white suit and I'm preaching in an arena.
Just 20 years ago.
20 years ago. It could bring me to tears today because that vision has literally sustained me for 20 years. It's kept me alive at some points. I think I've touched on it a little bit through my health journey and all of that. But when I listen and I read the story of Joseph, I mean, it's so tender to me because I know what it feels like to get a dream. Know that that's the Lord, because it's like I'm not that smart. I'm not that brilliant. I have no idea how that would come to pass. It scares me, but yet something in me feels so alive, and so the vision has sustained me for years and years, but there's been peaks and valleys of seasons where I've thought, how is this ever? When will this ever? And now I'm in a place where, what the heck would have I in 20 years ago, what would have I even talked about? I don't know.
Right.
I had nothing. But the testimony that the Lord has had to bring me through, and there's been crushing, and there's been seasons where he's asked me to surrender the dream because I made the dream my identity. And that's never the intention.
But we all go through that. I'm glad you bring that up.
Oh, yes.
When we get a vision or a dream, there's sometimes when God told me that I was a prophet of hope, I changed it to the prophet of hope.
Okay.
Also that I would have an identity. Why? Because I was insecure.
That's right.
Massive correction came from the Lord very quickly.
Yeah.
But it was loving.
Yes.
And I even want to go back to the housekeeper, because some people may hear that and go, yeah, I'd love a housekeeper too. Stop.
Right.
That may be a dream and desire of your house. The Holy Spirit is referred to as a helper, an advocate, an encourager, a comforter. So I also know her husband really well, and her husband always tells her this, and he's told me this: I would not want Shawna to waste her time trying to cook meals, do this and do that. That's not what God designed her. She's a disco ball, and she's supposed to be with people. So my dream for her is that she would fulfill the dream in her heart. So, you know what? Back then you couldn't afford it, but today, through God's provision, you can afford it. I don't want to blow up people with small dreams, medium dreams, and big dreams.
100. And where you are on your process. I mean, the Lord even allowed that. And I'm telling you, I've been through a lot with all of that. And, what a woman should be doing. And, I should have a better attitude. I've been through all of it. And the Lord allowed that to be like the thorn in my flesh to keep me humble, to keep me in need, to keep me grateful. And also, I love that you remembered that Kyle said that, because really my assignment is to be an intercessor. I mean, I crave now. Listen, I believe that I will get the white suit and preach in the arena? I do. I'm already like, I've got women preachers on my dream board, and I look at them. There's one of Beth Moore, one of Catherine Coleman. I look at them all the time. I'm even, when I'm in the stores, I'm starting to look at white outfits, so I'm closer. But you know what? Here's how I really know I'm closer. That platform moment, it's going to be a moment. It might be 30 minutes, might be an hour. It's going to be great. People are going to meet Jesus. What I crave now is my intimacy with the Lord. No one can take that from me. That is what I crave the most. And just to be with him and to feel him and to feel his pleasure. That's how I know I'm closer to the dream.
I love it. Shawna, I got the vision and we all have to have this adjustment. This was on social media. It shows this kayaker in the middle of turbulent water, and it says, "Welcome to the ministry."
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I just started crying, laughing. I told Leslie, maybe we should put, turn your resumes in now at Elevate Him. This is exactly what it feels like. But
it's a rodeo.
But sometimes we look at the ministry as this moment on a platform.
That's right.
It's a moment. It's climactic. It's going to be over. The real deal is that you've been on a journey with God. And I want to remind you prophetically, sitting here, we had our first marriage conference years ago, and we picked you and Kyle.
Yes.
And MC'd. It is the funniest watching her. She just bounced around, and I laughed because Kyle looked like this post that was holding on, and it took some effort to hold on to her, and you had everyone laughing. But you've had that. You're about to MC another event for a ladies' retreat that's 400 people. So God is taking these steps in this journey, but he gave you a vision. You saw what God saw for you.
Psalms 139. It was in his heart. It's in every one of us has a dream. And so here's the thing. We can't compare. I don't want what you want. I don't want 1,000 acres. That's not what he planted in my heart. You don't want what you don't. Well, although maybe you should get a white suit, Marc Owings.
I'll get a white suit.
We can't compare because the word says in Psalms 139, he dreamt. You were on God's vision board before time ever began. And I feel him even now. He wants you to sit with him. And really, that's the only way. You can't get your dream. You can't tell me my dream. No. I can't tell people we can call some things out. We can call some gold out, but we only prophesy in part. When you go sit with your Abba, he's the one, and he knows how much to reveal to you. I've gone back as I've learned this process of how to dream and how to kingdom manifest. I go back and I say, Lord, tell me more about the white suit. Tell me more. And we talk a little bit more about it. And he reveals a little bit more. Or, tell me more about this dream, or what do you want? And we haven't even talked about dreams of the night, because we have actually had dreams encounters at nighttime that Kyle and I have made major life decisions on some of the dreams. And now I would say in this season of my life, he probably speaks the most to me through my night dreams. Yes. And so what I want people to walk away with is he wants to speak to you, and he will speak to you through visions, through the word, through other people, through dream encounters at night,
through nature, through all kinds of, God's dream board. He's showing it off all the time.
All the time. And you cannot outdream him.
No. No. And people poo-poo imagination.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. Speak into that.
Yeah, because when you were part of an imagination that God dreamed before time began. I can't really grab a hold of that or have the words to say that, but you always have been a part of God's heart, and I love how you said that. You've always been on God's dream board. On May 16, 1968, Marc was manifested on this planet through Linda and Joe Owings.
Yeah.
Not who I would have picked, by the way, but I see now that I got things from my mama, I got things from my daddy, and things from my brothers and sisters that I needed.
Yeah.
So God's imagination, I think sometimes we're so uptight in the Christian community that we forget to just imagine. And so that's what I've been doing, Shawna. I've been just imagining, like I've been for the last 20 years sleeping on, camp beds and this, and I dream about giving someone a mattress that they can sleep in and be rested.
I'm so proud
and go
of
all the
you.
way through this. But it's the little things. People ask me, like, what do you think about most of the beds?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about decoration, all that. I don't want fancy gold in this. I want meaningful sleep. I want things in order. But I think we forget to use the imagination. And for me, here's the thing that you can speak into me and correct me on this. The practical is so strong in me that I think that just comes with the gift that God gave me. There's a very practical side of me. There's very bold. I'm not scared. But I will say this, well, if you give me this land, how much does it take care of that? What are the taxes on that? If I build that, who's going to live there and take care of that? All the practicals start speaking to me.
Peter, you start looking at the waves.
Yeah, and the water. It's like poor Noah. Can you imagine? Go look at the dimensions of that boat. The reason I wasn't manifested on that day, I'd have failed that mission, but Noah didn't.
Yeah.
He's the one that came up with measure twice, cut once, because I promise you, they made some miscuts in that, and so will you.
Yep.
In your dream journey. And that's what I'm
And you look a little crazy.
You do.
Noah looked really crazy.
So talk a little bit about that. What are some of the hurdles we're going to have to go over as we get visions and dreams that we want to pursue?
Yeah, I think about the time that we were dreaming. I asked Kyle, just driving down the road one day, what's a dream in your heart? And out of the blue, he said, to go to law school. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, I just, and he had different reasons, but bottom line was, I just wondered if I could do it. He studied 3 weeks later. He was taking the LSAT. He passed it. And he was accepted into law school. Because if you tell me a dream, oh, Bubba, one of the things I was put on the planet to do was I am going to, well, what are you waiting on, big boy? Let's go. And I was so proud of my husband. But here's some things we learned in that season. When you have a dream and it's in its infancy, you do not share that with just anyone. Because there are giants in the land. Think about, if you don't know the story of Joshua, go look it up, because they went to go and spy out the land, check out the land. And remind me, there was 12 of them that came back.
2 out of the 12.
2 out of the 12 came
Caleb
back with
and
the right
Joshua.
report, okay? God's report. Yeah, there's giants in the land.
So they came back with God's vision. See, they looked through the binoculars and could see what God sees. The rest of the 10 were me, practical and tactical. These people make us look like grasshoppers.
Right. Here's all the scary stuff, and how are we going to do this? So your dream...
We're freaking brickmakers and farmers, and we're not good at that, and shepherds. We just left, and you want us to go fight them? This is the 300 Spartan.
But see, their report sounded logical enough that it kept an entire generation from going to the promised land.
As a matter of fact, when Joshua spoke up and Caleb spoke up, the people wanted to stone them.
Yeah.
In a cloud of mist, God's presence came and just protected him. And here's what it says about Joshua. Joshua was an aide. He was being apprenticed by Moses. But here's what it said about Joshua. And it's you.
Yeah.
When Moses would hear the Lord and go out and go do it, the Bible says that Joshua would linger in the tent longer, just for the presence, not for the vision, not for the dream. His dream and his heart during that time, just want to be with you a little longer, Jesus. Yeah. And it was Jesus in the tent. It was Jesus in the tent. But I love what you're saying. Be careful who you share it to.
Be careful.
Keep going.
Well, because we immediately got pushback with, even why would you do this at this season of your life? Like your kids, because Kyle started law school literally the same time our oldest was starting high school. And so we got pushback well, you're being a bad parent. This is kind of selfish.
They don't understand it.
Nobody some people did,
right.
But there are people that will they will throw gasoline, meaning they'll ignite you, or they're going to throw water. So be very careful, because I get real excited and zeal and, oh my gosh, this is what God said, and I get so excited. And I have learned, hold the vision for just a minute and ask for wisdom, because there are going to be giants in the land, but God will show you. If it's a vision from the Lord, you don't have to worry about any of it. It's a trust every step of the way.
Okay, so she just gave you a practical, be careful who you share it to, but she also gave you a truth. We don't have to worry it, because the second thing you're going to face in going through any vision or dream or purpose in your life is fear.
Yeah.
It's the first hurdle. It's the second hurdle. It's the third hurdle. It's the fourth hurdle. It's the fifth. That hurdle just keeps popping up.
Absolutely.
But as we allow God to do it, I think that's been one of the things for me is Lord, I don't know how to do this. No kidding, Mark.
Because why? You would get the glory.
Right.
He won't let us touch his glory.
Yep. And it doesn't matter if this takes me 20 years.
Right.
That has set me free. Like the timing on it. But let me tell you, Shawna, I'll be honest to every listener. I was embarrassed. I was scared that I'd go right and that we wouldn't raise the money. Then what I do? What if I buy the land and this doesn't happen? Well, Mark, what if you never do and trust and get out of the boat? You're never going to walk on water. I would rather miss and go bankrupt than sit here and not try to go do what I think is from the Lord and what I believe is from the Lord.
That's so
but
good.
Fear will scream at you. Fear of man, fear of looking crazy. People that are the practical police will come after you and go, I mean, I've had 100 tell me so far. Do you know what it'd take care of a ranch even? And I've never said 1,000 acres. I'm not saying I'm going to get 1,000 acres, but I want to dream.
You're just dreaming. Because at the end of the day, I believe the Lord, when I stand face to face to him, I want to know I want to make him big. I want to believe he is. If you read the word, that's really the message through so much is believe I am who I say I am.
There's this line that the Lord gave me the other day. Sometimes we have to surrender what we think to be able to receive what he says. And that is a really big thing. Here's the other thing I heard, not mine. I don't remember who this was. Sometimes God will have to offend your mind to reveal what's in your heart.
Say it again.
God will have to offend your mind to reveal what's in your heart. I was offended that he picked me. Why didn't he pick someone smarter? Are you out of your mind? Me? My gosh, do you remember where I came from? And here's what he says. No. No, Mark, I have forgotten all that from the East and the West. The only people holding record against you are people who don't like you. And you know what? I love you and like you. And if they're going to be in unity with me, you're going to have to like them and they're going to have to like you.
Wow.
But those things, it's offensive.
It is.
And people go, it's so exciting that you started a ministry or went and did this. But Kyle went to law school. He's an attorney. Kyle runs a construction company that he owns and operates right now. What's the purpose? Well, maybe part of what the purpose is in that was to give Kyle confidence to lead, confidence to see, and he can write his own lawyer documents and skip that.
Exactly. I mean, it's come in handy. But, as you were talking about your land, the other thing is when we pull back and we let fear or other things keep us, you don't know how many other people, I was just seeing this as you were talking, this isn't just a dream fulfilled for you. There's many people that are going to come alongside. This is their dream too.
And that's what blows me away. Because listen, I don't want to own a bunch of land for Leslie and I to go run around on our side by side out there. Although I love that.
Yeah.
My dream is I want to change people's life. Yes. There's just a dream. There's something that propels me to encourage people. There's something to speak to them, to tell them that they can do that, to put words and language and put forms, if you will, so that people can start playing in fields that they never even knew or thought they were capable. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at people on Fully Live and said, you're going to be able to facilitate greater than me. Yes. One of the best facilitators we got right now is Todd. I looked at him. He laughed at me. And I said, you won't be the...
Sarah.
God will
Todd.
Be yeah. But let me tell you something. He's just sweeter. Yeah. He's kinder. And listen, I don't envy it. I long for it. So maybe he gave me a sweet brother, because one of the dreams of my heart is I want to, when I die, I know this less than my kids know this, I want to be known as one of the sweetest men. I'm a long ways away.
No, I think you're very
But
kind.
I'm making steps to that. Oh, well, I can be strong. And that's the other thing is I want people to, as we go through this, we're at 49 minutes.
This is so amazing.
It's fun. And Shawna and I just talked about this yesterday, but I want you to realize too, one of the greatest dreams that I have that I know is from God is for people to see the dream of who they are and just get to be them. Just get to be them. I am shocked. I am in a grateful and thankful. There's some friends in my life that have been 20 and 30 years. I just had Toby Slough on. He's been in my life in 20 years. Just incredible guy, and I just came out of that podcast just thanking God for people that have longevity and history. Yeah. I mean, we're going on 10.
Oh, for sure. Just
10,
friendship.
years.
Yes.
Yeah. But let me tell you, people come and go.
Yeah.
People. And one of the things that Toby said is, man, our greatest desire, we wrote this in our book, The Original Sanctuary, our greatest desire is to be known. Our greatest fear is to be known. So there's very few people that are going, number one, when you show all of you to somebody, there's very few people who are going to love it all. Most of them walk away. Jesus looked at his disciples and said, you going to leave too?
Yeah.
And Peter said, where would we go? Yeah. Where would we go? So my heart, my dream today is I hope that we're inspiring you. There's so much. I think we're going to come back and do another one of these. And as we just do this, but I want to inspire you today. Whatever vision, whatever dream, whatever purpose, God has a purpose for every one of us. I believe that we all have maybe the same purpose, but different destinies.
Yeah.
And so I'm still noodling on that, but I'm just so grateful,
That's
Shawna,
so
all the things that you have, and you have so much more. I think we'll come back and do another show, but thanks for being on here. And
of course,
I want you to have final words and prayer.
Well, you always say to me, just be you. And it really is the most freeing thing to settle us down. And we do just to get to be ourselves. So my final words is, what do you believe in God for? What are you dreaming about? Go spend some time with him today and let the dreams, because I believe the dreams are there. Sometimes they need to be awakened. They need to be shaken, but go back to your earliest memory as a child and just what were you dreaming of? What were you dreaming for? And I would love to just pray over everyone. And, everything that the Lord's given me, I give it away over the airwaves, over the frequency. The frequency of heaven is shalom, peace. And so, Father, bless every listener that they would be offended. They're feeling like a little struggle. Yes, there's a little struggle going inside of you. And it's because there is more. And I hope, just like you take that fire prodder, I hope we have poked you in the best way today to come alive and dream again. We bless you and we thank you for listening to The Unbridled Life.
So head on over to ElevateHim.com. You can learn more. If you want to reach us, you've got a story, you can email us at podcast@ElevateHim.com. They'll probably come up on the screen or down in the notes. And share this with a friend. One of the things that you can do is just encourage someone else to dream. And share this with as many friends as you can so we can get the word out and encourage others. Thanks so much for listening to the Unbridled Life Podcast. We know your time is valuable, and we hope we bring real and relevant content that helps you live that unbridled life. If you want to help us spread the message, you can rate or review the podcast on whatever platform you like to listen to us and share it with a friend or two. If you want to know more about who we are and what we're doing, head on over to theunbridledlifepodcast.com and learn more.